The regular meeting by video conference during disaster due to COVID-19 of the Board of Trustees of San Elizario I.S.D. held on May 13, 2020 is now called to order. On May 16th, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meetings laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic video conference meetings in response to the coronavirus. In accordance with this suspended rules, we certify the following. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by telephone call and internet access. We're meeting by use of both telephone conference call, online access, and through use of an email link for questions. If a member of the public submitted written comments in advance, the board president or a member of the administration will read the comments into record before or during the board's consideration of that item. If you would like to provide comment at further meetings conducted by video conference or telephone call, please follow instructions on the meeting's notice. All other procedures will adhere to board adopted procedures to the extent practical. An audio recording of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public at a later date. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate unprecedented conditions. If you have any questions about these suspended laws, please call the Office of the Attorney General at 888-672-6787 or by email at toma@oag.texas.gov. With that, we'll now proceed to roll call. Ms. Hawkins, can you do roll call, please? You need.
Okay, from what I can see, all are present except for Mr. Madrid, who will join us as soon as he's ready. But I see Ms. Michelle Garcia, Ms. Miriam Hernandez, Mr. Eduardo Chavez. I don't see your face, but I see your name there. You and myself.
Okay.
And me.
And Mr.
I'm sorry, Mir Romero's on the line. I'm sorry. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins, and welcome everyone. We will now proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance. May we please rise? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty
and justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. We'll now proceed with item D, San Elizario ISD mission statement. San Elizario ISD vision is to graduate students with skills to meet the demands of a changing world by promoting student success as non-negotiable, channeling resources to match the learning needs of students, employ and retain quality staff so that San Elizario is a proud, innovative, and academically superior district. Okay. We will now proceed with item 2, open forum. Ms. Christine, did anyone set up open forum?
No submissions have been received at this time, Board Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Christine. Proceed to item 3, recognition of student progress on student outcome goals, advocacy in our LSD instrument. Presenter, Dr. Jeannie Mesa Chavez, Superintendent, and Dr. Rogelio Segovia, Associate Superintendent.
Dr. Segovia, please proceed on your end for the recognition of our students.
Good evening, Madam Chair Licon, board members, and Dr. Mesa Chavez. So today we are delighted to have members of our students. We have students and members of our community, our parents. We're going to recognize students who are I-Station scholars in the grade levels of pre-K all the way to 2nd grade. So these students have achieved the highest level possible or the highest at the school. So we're very excited, and it'll be both again in math and reading. So we're gonna start with Loya, and we're gonna start with reading. And if you're here, parents and students, if you could show your video so we could see you, I'm also going to translate this in Spanish. Buenas tardes, Presidenta Licón, miembros de la mesa directiva y Dr. Mr. Chávez. Ahora estamos de manteles largos festejando porque tenemos unos invitados especiales, son algunos de nuestros estudiantes y sus familias que nos están viendo, porque los vamos a reconocer por ser los estudiantes que salieron más altos en el área de lectura y matemáticas en el programa de iStation. Así que felicidades a todos. Bueno, pues vamos a empezar con los de lectura. We're going to start with reading at Loya. So we have our first reading student, pre-K, Joseph Rodriguez. Kinder reading, Carla Córdoba. We're going to move on to Alarcón, second grade reading, Gilberto Armenta. We're going to move on to Borrego, first grade, Chelsea Gonzalez. And we're going to move on to Zambrano Elementary, second grade, Dylan Figueroa Diaz. So these are our top scholars for the area of reading in iStation. So congratulations to all. We'll be mailing you your certificate. Now we're going to move on to math. We're going to start again at Loya with pre-K. So our pre-K math scholar is actually going to Jimena Moreno. Kinder math, Isabella Day. Now we're going to go to Alarcón, first grade, Slate Agüero. We're going to move on to Borrego, second grade, Ezekiel Alexander Salcedo. And we're going to finish with Zambrano Elementary, first grade, math, Roxanne Venegas. So this is our top scholars for math. Congratulations to all. We will be mailing your certificate home. Felicidades a todos los estudiantes por salir muy alto en la área de matemáticas y lectura en iStation. Después les vamos a mandar su certificado por correo. Si están todos, si por favor nos pueden mostrar sus caritas para felicitarlos. Y el que tenga cámara, pues le puede tomar una foto. If you're here with us, please show your little face. I see the big smiles there. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right, thank you. This concludes this presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Segovia, and congratulations, little ones. Well done.
Congratulations, everyone.
Okay, so with that, we will proceed to item 4 on the consent agenda, structure in our LSG. Consider possible board action items on items 4A through L. I do have a correction on item 4D, monitoring board self-constraints, vision 3, on page 57. If you can turn to your board book, please, on 57. And towards the bottom, where it says the estimated percentage for the following months in the quarters are as follows. February 20th, we had 60% of our time. March 2020, we had 86%, and April 2020, we had 52.11. When you average those 3 months, it should read 64 instead of 46 as it's noted there. So I would like that noted for a correction, that instead of the 46%, it should read 64 on that item.
The item's been noted, Chair Licon.
Thank you. Any other board member would like to discuss, pull out an item, or questions on any of the items?
Ms. Licon, this is Eduardo Chavez.
Yes, sir.
You know what, I did have a question. I just wanted to see if somebody can explain to me the MOU that we're entering with, I think, Region 19 for the Reading Academies. I think it'd be item F.
Okay, so we can, do we have someone who, should we pull out the
Dr.
item?
Segovia?
Yes.
Mr. Chavez, if you could let us know what the question is?
I just wanted to know, I know we're entering an agreement with them. Were there any other providers? Are we gonna have some type of feedback on on reviewing the service they're providing to our teachers? I kind of reviewed a little.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Good evening, Madam Chair Licon again, board members, and Dr. Mr. Chavez. Mr. Chavez, this is a requirement through HB3. The providers that TEA have assigned, they're all the region centers. So
Okay.
Region 19 is a sole provider for this particular service.
Okay.
And
All
you
right,
will
that was-
definitely be reviewing the progress and the effectiveness as we proceed.
Okay, perfect. That was my main question, if it was just a sole provider or how it was that we signed up with Region 19, but that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Segovia. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Any other questions, comments, items you want to pull out? No? If not, then may I please have a motion on the floor?
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented, items 4A through L. And this is Irene Hackett, sorry.
Second.
And this is Michelle.
Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Jaques to accept items 4A through L as presented, seconded by Ms. Garcia. Okay, I will now take a poll for the votes. Mr. Madrid, was he able to log in? Do we
I
have,
had seen him log in.
no?
He's there.
He's in?
He's in.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
are.
he's just
Hi,
muted.
Fernie. I think he's muted. Okay, Fernie, how's your vote?
Yay.
Okay, Mr. Chavez?
Aye.
Ms. Jaques?
Aye.
Ms. Garcia?
Aye.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Licon, aye. Motion carries unanimously. If we can move on to item 5, new business board action items. 5A, focus on student outcomes. 5A, 1A, San Elizario High School monitoring student progress. Presenter, Ms. Maribel Guillen, principal at San Elizario High School, and this is page 81 in our board book.
Good evening, President Licon, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Dr. Mesa Chavez. Ms. Frescas is assisting me in putting up my screen to begin my presentation regarding the monitoring of the goals. And Ms. Frescas, I'm ready for my next slide. Thank you. Which will be the mission and vision of our campus. And our mission is to motivate students to believe in themselves and instill the confidence necessary in them to reach their post-secondary goals. And our vision is that San Elizario High School will prepare students to enter a 4-year university or college of their choice by becoming a cutting-edge learning institution focused on advanced academics and college readiness. We will begin with the first goal, which addresses math. And the numbers that I will be presenting today are benchmark numbers. Unfortunately, as you all are aware, we were not able to complete our year, and that included our testing as well. So due to the situation, we were not able to test any of our students. All of the assessments were waived. And so what I will be presenting are the latest benchmarks we have that we had on record before we went on the break due to the situation. So in math, the target for 2019-2020 was 14% for Algebra 1 for students to reach that master's level. And our spring benchmark put us at 10%. We had a previous benchmark in the fall that had us that did have us above the 14%, but we're using the latest benchmark available, and that one shows 10%. We do need to work a little bit more. It is very close to the goal. However, I feel that we still had a couple of weeks left in the school year where we would be targeting the specific groups, the specific areas that students would have needed to work on deeper in order to hit that master's level. And for all our students, this was the time where we would have been working very strategically to get them to those scores. But like I said, the latest benchmark put us at 10%. So next slide, please. What we had in mind and what we were planning, of course, and we already had in place were to continue with our PLCs, our power planning, where our teachers take all this information on benchmarks and then start to diagnose students individually to see where the areas for tutoring, be it Saturday tutoring or after school tutoring or during the day pullouts. This would have been the power planning. But we also, before we went on break, on this break, we're already had all these implemented and had them already going. So we're very confident that next year when we are faced with getting our students to the target that we would be successful. Algebra 1 is one of our strongest areas at the high school, strongest assessment area. And we have, I believe, the best teachers teaching Algebra 1. And so we're confident that we can reach the goal. Next slide, please. What you're looking at now is our English 1 and English 2, or also referred to as the reading component of the goal. And the 2019-2020 goal was 10%. And the latest benchmark put us at 2% for masters. Again, I want to say that I wish we would have had actual scores to have compared to the annual target, which was 10%, because I feel that our actual scores would have put us close to that target, only based on what we were seeing in the classrooms and how we were seeing our teachers focusing with our students. And so we were very confident that we were going to be very close to that target. Unfortunately, the benchmark scores I'm presenting, that's what they are, they're benchmarks. And so again, next slide, please. We had our English 1 and English 2 teachers power planning, and we did have writing circles, which involves one-on-one feedback to students when we notice that they need extra help. So they take their benchmark, they write their essays, and then the teachers take the time to conference with each student individually and provide them feedback. So all of those things were in place. We were getting ready to do our Saturday tutorings and so forth, as well as had been working with our retesters. And so again, we were unable to complete that. But moving forward, we do feel that we have a strong program in place to help us reach those targets in the future. Next slide, please. The next one is our prep courses. And I want to say something quickly about the prep courses. The state has given us the opportunity to enroll students in an English college prep course or a math college prep course. The numbers that I'm going to provide are those students that we actually were able to enroll in these courses. But I do want to make it clear that not all seniors, and this would be for 12th grade only, I do want to make it very, very clear that not all 12th graders actually qualify for this course. So for example, this is a course that students would be able to take so that they don't have to take the TSI when they get to college. So if they take this course, the TSI is waived, and all they have to do is get a 70 in the class, and then the colleges would waive the TSI requirements, and they would be able to go straight into a college course that would not require them to take a remedial course as a prerequisite. So it sounds very, very good. And our goal is to be able to offer this to all our seniors. But like I said, there are those that don't qualify. So for example, we have about 36 seniors that are in dual credit. So right away, you would have to delete that number from our senior class because they would not be able to take this course because they're already taking dual credit. So it would be kind of like a duplicate in their case. The dual credit kids don't qualify. Also, if there's any seniors that are lacking credits, if they're behind credits or they joined us late in the year or they are making up courses, they would also not qualify for this class because priority would be to get them their high school diploma. And so being that the case, we would have to schedule them in to take course requirements for graduation before we could even offer courses like this. So having said that, if you would look at our numbers, the goal was to put 34% of our students in that math college prep course. And we ended up, right now, we have about 17% of them in it. And we are working extremely hard to, the goal is to get them all the opportunity to be in this course. But again, we have to make sure that they do all their graduation requirements first. And so this is the math prep course. Could we go to the English one? So in English, again, the situation would be that the goal would be to have 34% of them in there. And I think with this one, we are a lot closer. And again, that's because these are students that are either not in dual credit or sometimes they're taking CTE courses that require them to be 3 periods scheduled into, for example, cosmetology or other courses, automotive. And so if they're in a class for 3 periods, it really limits the time they have in their schedule. But we are strongly focusing. We are also now waiving because we're able to, and we got that guidance from the state, we're able to waive their English 4 requirements. So rather than them being a regular English 4, we would put them in a math prep course. I'm sorry, in an English prep course that would take the place of their English 4 requirement. So we're being very careful. We're looking at all these students one by one. My priority is to ensure that all the students have the credits that are mandated by the state in order for us to give them a graduation diploma. And so once we do that and we are sure that they have room in their schedule, then we proceed to give them these opportunities, which are great opportunities for college prep. Next slide, please. Our attendance, we started a campaign that's called Missing School, Missing Out. And we are making attendance a priority. We ended up, our latest numbers, of course, before us having to go on break due to the situation, we were at 94.5% attendance, almost 95%. And so that's up from 93.9% in previous years. And I believe that we made a commitment to work on those numbers and get our attendance up. And I can tell you that sometimes at a high school level and at all levels, not just high school, but specifically to us, when we had the snow days, there was 2 days that we had the delayed entry. And so that really hurts our attendance tremendously. So you would see that reflected in our attendance rate and so forth. But our student activities manager has launched a campaign. We are trying everything possible to get our students in class, and we're giving out awards, and we're allowing students to go to lunch a little bit early on Fridays if they're in class every day. And so we've seen that incentives like that, the kids really like, and they've really helped us. Next slide, please. I'm not going to go through every single picture. I just wanted to show you that we continue to have all of these different college opportunities or college going culture with our field trips and the many things you see here in the pictures. We were able to complete our college fair and our field trips. We did have other activities planned that obviously were canceled because of the situation, but we mostly, for the most part, got all our activities in for our students. Next slide, please. We are very successful with the class of 2020, getting them to apply for FAFSA. And a lot of our students, most of our students did, and now they have the financial aid packages and the acceptance letters from college ready to go should they choose to continue with that. Next slide, please. These are just different pictures. Next slide. Those are the pictures that were depicting all the CTE specialty programs that we offer. And then here to note of our dual credit academy that is really giving our students those hours that they can get a head start on. We will be graduating the class of 2020 with 39 credits, 40 credits already completed to put them at a sophomore level in college. So they will be able to skip a year and a half in college and proceed as college sophomores. They do half a semester of their sophomore year, and then they will be juniors. Most of them will still be 18, 19 years old and halfway through college. Next slide, please. And of course, we continue to prepare. We continue to get ourselves ready for our early college high school that we have in the works that will work really nicely with the dual credit academy that is already in place and involve more students. And so we continue with our next level of work. Next slide, please. Wanted to let everyone know, we can go to the next one as well, Ms. Frescas, the next slide. I just want to let everybody know that we did receive an award, and it couldn't have come at a better time. We were, my faculty and staff, myself, my students, as a campus, were very saddened by, this whole situation that came our way. And so when we got the news of San Elizario High School being ranked number 8 in the entire El Paso region, we couldn't have come at a better time. Thank you. We were so, thank you. We were so emotional and thankful, my team and I and all our students, because when we looked at the rest of the list, and there's links to this story if you would like them. When we looked at this list, we noticed that the numbers 1 through 7 on the list and numbers 9 and 10, the top 10 as per this agency are all either magnet schools or they are early college high school standalone campuses. We were the only comprehensive high school in the entire El Paso region to be in the top 10. And the only other high school that came in 12th was Eastwood High School, and that was at number 12. So this award briefly means that we are excelling in the areas of mathematics and reading. And it also means that we are providing opportunities for students in disadvantaged situations, at-risk situations, as compared to their counterparts in the entire state and country. And they are noticing that through our advanced placement scores and through our efforts, our students are really excelling in comparison to their counterparts in the same situation. So we are very proud of this award. That's our Teacher of the Year, Dr. Ana Luna, who's a fantastic teacher, along with many other teachers on our campus. And next slide, please. And again, we continue to be in line with the goal of the board through your Lone Star governance. And we have a group of students who are trained in the Lone Star governance and understand what the goals are and have participated in various activities. And so here's a picture of them with the deputy commissioner and our board president. And these students are like I said, trained and understand what the goals of the board moving forward are. So that completes my presentation. Thank you very much for your time. And if anybody has a question, I'll be glad to answer questions.
Not a question, but a comment. Congratulations to you
Thank you.
for doing such a splendid job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Guillen. And again, congratulations to San Elizario High School and to you as a principal. We're acknowledging the great things that are happening at our high school. So thank you once again, Ms. Guillen.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else would like to comment? So then we will now proceed with item 5A, 2A, goal progress monitoring vision 2 of our LSG instrument. Discussion, review, and possible board action on item 5A, 2A, GPM 1.1, the percentage of students in pre-K through second grade who perform at the master's level as measured by I.S.D Mathematics Ability Index will increase from 10% in October 2019 to 38% by June 2024. And if you notice in the bottom, it does say item C, progress monitoring PowerPoint presentations. We will be separate them into these two categories. So for GPM 1.1, the memo is on page 98, but the actual presentation will begin on page 104 and it'll end on page 116. So if we could please turn it to your board member and then to the presentation, which will be by Dr. Rogelio Segovia, Associate Superintendent, Ms. Susana Fresas, Coordinator, Instructional Programs and Elementary Principals.
Good evening, Board President Licon, members of the board, Dr. Mesa Chavez, and all of our invited guests watching us out there online. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. So this evening, I will be presenting to you data from Goal 1.1, which consists of math data for students in pre-K, kinder, first, and second grades. Before I begin, though, I'd like to thank my teammates, the instructional officers, and Ms. Renegar for their help in compiling all of this data for this presentation. As always, this is a team. We work very well together, so this is a team effort. So thank you, my team. So we recognized our students a little bit ago. We want everybody to see their names out there in the world. All of our wonderful students that did a great job at the last assessment with math and reading. So thank you to the parents and their teachers for working so hard with all of these wonderful students. Thank you again if they're still out there. Thank you. I did just want to mention their name one more time because I know kids love to hear their name. So,
Ms. Frescas, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you share your screen?
Am I not sharing it? Sorry.
I can see you.
Oh, you were seeing me, but no, I don't want to do that. I'm so sorry.
Share the PowerPoint. We want to see those names of those kids again.
The PowerPoint.
Okay, can you see the names now?
No.
You can see my PowerPoint now?
No, not
Oh,
yet.
we can see it.
You cannot?
No.
Sorry. Let me try again.
Yay.
And
Got it.
better?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Great. Okay. So now our wonderful kids can see their names out there in lights. So again, thank you to the parents and teachers. Dr. Segovia, did you want to go over these names again or?
Yes, because I do see that our families are still with us and our kids. So I want to make sure that their names are showcased again. So these are our iStation scholars, again from
Dr.
Loya.
Segovia?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but if we can also maybe, so that they're able to be highlighted, maybe we can ask if they're present for them to be able to speak so that their picture shows up on the camera or some sort, just so that in case we have parents who are taking pictures or anything like that.
Okay, if we could turn on our cameras and maybe unmute so that we can see you. And so these are the names that we have here for that we're celebrating today in reading and math for our state I-Station scholars. At Loya, Pre-K Math, Jimena Moreno. Pre-K Reading, Joseph Rodriguez. Kinder Math, Isabella Day. Kinder Reading, Carla Cordova. We move on to Alarcón Elementary, first grade math, Slate Agüero. Second grade reading, Gilberto Armenta. We move on to Borrego Elementary, second grade math, Ezekiel Alexander Salcedo. First grade reading, Chelsea Gonzalez. We move on to Zambrano. Can you remove the names? I got them, don't worry. Zambrano. For math, first grade, Roxanne Venegas. And for second grade, Dylan Figueroa Diaz. So these are our scholars that, again, are top in the area of I-Station in the contents of math and reading. Congratulations again to all.
Congratulations.
Can you see my screen again?
Ms. Frescas, I can see you, but not your presentation.
Better?
There you go.
Okay, sorry, it was great for Ms. Guillen, so I'm glad about that. If I'm gonna mess up, I'd rather mess up on my own. Okay, so our data is pulled from I-Station Math, which our students use on a daily basis, as well as take monthly assessments on the first week of each month. Okay, so this is GPM 1.1, and Ms. Icon already read the goal for us. So what we're wanting, the goal is to get to 10%, well, start at 10% from October 2019 to end off at 38% by June of 2024. So I'll go ahead and take you to the current percentage as of the first week of March. This is the average of all 4 grade levels. Pre-K was at 5%, kinder at 9%, first grade at 4%, and second grade at 14%. So the total average for this group is at 8% right now. Okay. This data was previously reported to you by tiers. If you'll notice on the left side of the triangle, we have tier 1, 2, and 3. We have since transitioned to levels, as you can see on the right side of the triangle. Within the tier 1 section, you'll find 3 levels. Level 3, which is marked as approaches, level 2, which is marked as meets, and level 3, level 4, and level 5. 5 is what we want, where we want kids. That's the master's level. This small section is what we'll be reporting to you tonight. These are the students above the 80th percentile. Because math is conducted all in English, there are only a few slides on this goal to share the data with you from this time period. Okay, we'll start with pre-K data. Notice we started strong at 44% and fell back a bit each month. So we went from 35%, 25%, 24%, and finally 9% in March. Okay, this can be attributed to various things, concepts getting a bit more challenging for our young students as the year progressed. In addition, as our instructional officers dug into why we might have seen such a drop, a probable reason might have been some of the concepts might not have been fully taught by teachers yet, at the time of the assessment. Remember, the assessment is done the first week of every month. An important thing to notice, however, is the red section on the bar graphs. If you'll notice at the bar for September, although we had 14% in the master's level, we did have 35% in the red, which is level 1. Now in March, though, we have 5% in the master's level, but a lower percentile in level 1. So this means that there are gains still being made by our students previously found at the lowest level. Okay, this is the kinder overall data. Same thing as with pre-K, smaller red section, which means we're making gains overall. For this grade level, the master's data stayed a bit more constant, going from 20% in November to 21, then 22 for 2 consecutive months, and then finally 18% in March. That's a small 2% drop in a total of 4 months. Okay, on to first grade. This grade level is basically a repeat of our pre-K students. Our master's level was down a bit from 20% to 17% to 14%, then 5%. And then we finally recovered a bit, ending up at 7%. However, again, the red section of the bar graph, which is the level 1, is declining as well. Therefore, seeing gains here for all of our students. Our second grade students have remained fairly strong the entire school year, starting at 67% masters in November. They moved up a bit, up and down through the months, with 45% in December, 69 in January, 66 in February, and finally 31% masters in March. Again, the same reasoning as the other grade levels. The concepts do get a bit tougher as the school year progresses. So that could be one of the reasons that we see a decline. Okay, so we have interventions that we have in place for grades pre-K through kinder. These are just some of the interventions used with our students by the campuses throughout the school year. This is by no means an exhaustive list, nor is it a cookie cutter intervention list that is used with every single student. Some students may need less interventions, some need more, and still others might need very different interventions, more specific to that student's learning abilities or learning styles. And this is our first and second grade student intervention list. Again, not an exhaustive list. For example, we're utilizing personal data profiles to guide instruction and interventions, or even one-to-one support by the teacher during the school day. We do have a couple of the elementary principals and instructional officers on standby if you should have any questions on any of these interventions or the data that has been presented to you in the area of math, goal 1.1. Okay, this completes my presentation for GPM 1.1 on math data for students in pre-K through second grade. Are there any questions at this time?
No.
Floor is open for discussion. Any questions? And I may please entertain a motion. This will is up for the vote.
I make a motion to approve goal process monitoring B2A, right? It's just that one,
1.1.
1.1.
It's
presented.
I second.
Okay. We have a motion on the floor by Ms. Garcia and seconded by Ms. Romero. If there is no further discussion, I take this to a vote. No further discussion? Okay, Mr. Madrid? Mr. Madrid? Okay, we'll move on to Mr. Chavez.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Jaques?
Aye.
Ms. Garcia?
Aye.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Aye.
Mrs. Romero,
Aye.
Mr. Madrid.
Aye.
Thank you. And Ms. Licon, aye. So motion carries unanimously. Okay, we will proceed to item 5A2B, GPM 2.1. The percentage of students in pre-K through second grade who perform at the master's level as measured by I.S.D overall reading ability index will increase from 11% in October 2019, 30% by June 2024. And again, the memo is in page 101, and the actual presentation will begin from page 117 and end at 136. Presenters will be Dr. Rogelio Segovia, Associate Superintendent, and Ms. Susana Frescas, Coordinator, Instructional Programs and Elementary Principals.
Thank you. Once again, good evening, everyone. We will be looking again at iStation data. This will be for GPM 2.1, which is reading, and again in the same grade levels, pre-K, kinder, first and second grades. Okay, here we do test students in both English and Spanish. Not both for the same student. There's some students that test in English and others that test in Spanish. Therefore, this data that you'll be looking at will be a little more extensive. You'll see reading at the top on some of it, which is the English data, and then you'll see lectura temprana for the students that assessed in Spanish. So this is our goal. Again, we are trying to get up to 30%, so we're about halfway there. We had 14%. That's the compilation of all of the pre-K through second grade. That would include all of them. So we'll begin with Loya. Loya teachers and staff and administrative team have been working very hard with their little ones. They've been moving these students, starting with the English data at 7% in November. They moved up to 9% in December, 5% in January. That was a slight slide back, but keep in mind that that was the Christmas break, so we do see a slide typically for the little ones. Okay, and then they maintained through February, and then they climbed back up to an 8% in March. This is pre-K English data. And now we'll look at pre-K Spanish data. For our Spanish testers in lectura temprana, we've seen pretty big gains as well. In the master's level, we started out at 35% in November. Then we dropped to 12%. So we were like, whoa, that was kind of big. We recovered though in January. We went back up and we saw 23%, followed by 22% in February, and topping it off in March with 29%. So we're getting there. Moving on to kinder English reading data, we started at 4% in masters in November and stayed consistent at 4% all the way through February. Finally, we had a bit of a breakthrough in March, and our little ones pushed themselves up to a 6% master's level. For our kinder Spanish testers, lectura temprana, we again saw pretty big gains. In the master's level, we started out at 31% in November, dropped to 26% in December, back up to January 28%, followed by 32% in February, and finishing off March with 33% in the master's level. So very good numbers there. So continuing with first grade English reading data, we started at 4% masters in November, moved up to 7% in December, 7% in January, February, and up a little bit in March at 8%. For lectura temprana, we started at 6%, went to 5%, 9%, up to 11%, and finally 13%. March. And we'll finish off with our second graders. who started out at 12% masters in English reading, went to 11%, 9%, 14%, and finished off at 8%. And for lectura temprana, we had 8% in November, went to 7%, 5% with that little Christmas dip, and then recovered again at 7%, and then up to 8% in March. Okay, so we've got some work to do, but we're working hard. Our teachers are definitely working hard, and our students. We're very fortunate that we do get to see usage reports from home. So we are seeing the numbers increase there with usage from home. So we're thankful for parents to making sure that our students are using the programs at home. So these are the pre-K and kinder interventions that are used by the students at Loya throughout the year. As I stated before, this is not the entire list. Some students may need more or less interventions, and of course, still others might need specific interventions that might be more specific to the target in the area of need in the reading components. So as you can see, we have everybody helping. We've got the music teacher helping with students. We've got the computer, instructional aid, librarians. So everybody's working hard with children. For first and second grade interventions, some examples are grouping students by their guided reading level, or providing extended Esperanza or Foundations lessons for students at the lowest percentile. Typically, this is done during the intervention block. We also, again, have other teachers helping out, such as the at-risk teacher. We do have interventions being provided right now through Google Meets during the closure as well. Some more interventions, one-to-one, again, support during guided reading. And again, we still have the elementary principals on deck, as well as the instructional officers, if anybody has any questions for them on any of the data that has been presented to you on goal 2.1. That concludes the presentation for 2.1 on reading data for students pre-K through second grade. Are there any questions from the board at this time?
Floor is open for discussion. Any questions, comments?
No.
And if we have no further discussion, may I please have a motion on the floor?
I move to accept item 5A to B, goal progress measuring 2.1.
I have a motion by Ms. Hernandez. A second? Who is the second?
Mr. Chavez seconded.
Mr. Chavez? Okay, so we have a motion by Ms. Hernandez, seconded by Mr. Chavez to accept item 5A to B, GPM 2.1. Mr. Madrid, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mr. Chavez?
Aye.
Mrs. Jaques?
Aye.
Ms. Garcia?
Aye.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
And Ms. Licon? Aye. Motion carries, unanimously. Okay,
Thank you all very much.
thank you, Ms. Reza.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
with that said, we will now proceed to item 5B. Consider impossible board action to schedule special meeting for budget workshop and/or budget adoption. Presenter, Mr. Norberto Rivas, Chief Financial Officer, page 136 in our board book.
Board Chair, my apologies. You skipped over goal progress monitoring open forum.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am. Did we have anybody sign up?
No, ma'am, no submissions were received at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, so correction made, full progress monitoring, no one was there. We'll proceed now then with item 5B. with consider possible board action to schedule a special meeting for budget workshops and/or budget adoption. Presenter, Mr. Norberto Rivas, Chief Financial Officer, page 136 in our blue book.
Good evening, Board President Licon, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Mr. Chavez. The purpose of this agenda item is just so I can begin planning. Because of deadlines, there are legal notices that have to be published in the paper, and they need to be published at least a minimum number of days, but can't be too early in advance. So in your board packet, you will see a memo with days in June for both Monday and Wednesdays. So I guess the point of this agenda item is to decide, do we want to do 2 special board meetings? Do we want to do the budget workshop at a regular meeting and then the budget adoption at a special board meeting? I know in the past we have done both ever since I've been in this position. So we have done either 1 regular and 1 special or 2 special. And then I guess the follow-up question on this would be, if the board has is requesting any changes to the format or any additional details to the items typically presented during the budget workshop and the budget adoption.
We're looking at the dates here in June. June 1st, 8th, 15th, or the 29th for a Monday. Does anyone have a preference in a date? I know Mondays for Mr. Madrid would work best.
Yeah, and I think the latest date would be best, right? Since whatever, I mean, it's up to y'all. Are we doing this one is gonna be through web-based as well, right? Not in person anymore.
Yes, I believe it would be web-based.
Okay. Then it doesn't matter, I guess, whatever day. I thought we were having it face-to-face, so I thought latest is better.
Mr. Madrid, when is best for you?
Not the latest, June 29, no, because that's my birthday, and I don't want to be in a meeting on my birthday.
You don't want to spend your birthday with us, Fernie, really?
That's why I was doing it on the 29th for you.
You know what, and June 8th, June 15th, fine, or the 1st.
I like June 8th.
And let's do June 8th.
Not the first. The first does not work for me.
Okay, how about June 8th? We could have if we would move to a regular board meeting, and then we would have to do a special meeting on a separate day. We could do that, but how about June 8th? Would we consider June 8th to be a good date?
That works for me.
Okay, so we can go ahead and put it for June 8th, same time, 5 p.m.
What about Eddie? Is Eddie okay?
Mr. Chavez, time?
Okay.
So I do.
Okay, so June 8th, would that work? And we would schedule it for 5 p.m., correct?
Correct.
We would still need to vote on this, correct?
Well, what I do have one comment. This is Norberto. For June 8th, would this be the budget workshop or would this be budget adoption? Or do you want to see everything in one meeting?
Oh. Could we do then a special meeting and have it on one day?
Because we can have everything on June 8th, or we can have a budget workshop on June 8th and then a budget adoption later on if the board wants to make changes or wants additional detail to what is presented.
I think we should do a board workshop first and then the adoption later. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but in my opinion.
I think that's what we've done in the past.
Yeah, that's what we've always done. See, that's what I was saying. If we could do the workshop on one day, then we would have to schedule a day for the actual adoption, budget adoption.
Yes.
The only,
Okay, that would, could we do that one? Yes, ma'am.
And just to indicate, because I know that later in the board meeting, you're going to have the discussion on whether you'll be changing the board meeting dates over to Mondays, that June 8th would actually be a board meeting, so we would have the board workshop in there. Is that what we're saying, Mr. Rivas?
Yes, if the regular meeting becomes June 8th, then that's when the budget workshop can be presented. And then we would need a special board meeting to do the budget adoption.
See,
Which in reading and hearing the conversation, that would maybe June 15th or June 17th.
See, that sounds better because see, in other words, if we wouldn't do it that way, we would have three separate meetings. So this way we could have it that same June 8th and then have just a special board meeting for the budget adoption.
Yes,
Would that work for everybody else?
Yes.
Yes?
yes.
So, and it says possible board action. So this would have to, do we have to set up a date for the actual adoption? Or,
I believe as long as we know it ahead of time, then we can place the agenda in times with the open meetings.
okay,
So as long as we know what date that the board is deciding on, then we can proceed with that.
okay.
For the
So
special board meeting.
for this, it does say board action, so we can just schedule the June 8th for the special, well, no, because it would be actually during the same board meeting, right? So we wouldn't need to, we would need an action item on this one?
Well, I would say as long as we have an understanding of that's what it's going to be, then Mr. Rivas can take care of
Okay,
whatever he needs to do as far as the postings are concerned, along with Miss Christine.
okay, so then, for now, then we can go ahead and just leave it for June 8th, if everyone's okay with that. Okay, so with that said, we can just move along then to item 5C.
What about the special, though?
Oh,
To
that's what I was
adopt
asking. Do we need, so we will need a date for this special board meeting?
I said kind of just gives us a little bit more guidance. So we have June 8th so that we prepare in the event that you change it to board meetings happening on Mondays, but then,
So then the special board meeting would be probably June 15th to make it the following Monday.
okay.
Would that
Okay.
work for everyone?
Mr. Rivas, do you have that?
Fine.
How about you, Mr. Rivas?
Yes, that works.
Yes? Okay. 29th would have been nice, but I guess not. So we'll go ahead and set it for June 15th.
Yes, it would have.
We'll leave it for June 15th. And we don't need to vote on this, right?
No.
Okay.
Question. So June the 8th will be considered the regular board meeting?
Yes.
If it gets approved. If approved on, yes. And then, well, we'll still have a meeting that day either way. And then June 15th, honey, will be the special board meeting.
Right, okay. Got it. At 5 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion, questions?
No.
Item 5C then, discussion and possible action to approve amended board resolution regarding employee compensation during extended emergency closures of the district and its campuses in response to the concerns of further community spread of COVID-19 and pursuant to policy DEA local. Presenter, Ms. Priscilla Mata, legal counsel, page 137 in our board book. Ms. Priscilla?
Board President Licon, board members, and Dr. Mesa Chavez, good to be with you all and see most of you on here. I'm back again with the employee compensation resolution. And I don't want to scare you off. This is a recurring board item for many districts as you all navigate these COVID-19 waters. Things change each and every day, probably each and every hour. So we're bringing back the employee compensation resolution because you're starting to transition a lot of your workforce into that remote instruction. You're starting to utilize employees in different ways. But for the most part, you don't have a lot of employees making that direct contact with the public. This amended board resolution, what it does, it keeps compensating your annual employees at their regular rate. But when it comes to the premium pay, it starts to narrow down the class of employees that are actually earning that premium pay during the closure. So you'll remember that during the last board meeting, you approved an amendment to the employee compensation plan that essentially only compensates a certain class that is working at the district, that is physically showing up to work. This resolution takes it a bit further and says, okay, we understand that there's still some concern with coming into contact with being out in the workforce. So your premium pay would now be limited to any non-exempt employees reporting to work, such as food services, but coming into direct contact with the public, whether that's students, parents, community members. Now, it was kind of hard to tailor that class to specific titles. So what I did here in speaking with administration is I made sure that the resolution allowed premium pay for folks that come into contact with community members, but it leaves it subject to the discretion of administration. Administration would be the ones making the call as to who needs to report where, and also issuing these work schedules to employees that are coming into contact with the public. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or defer to Ms. Cruz if there's any specific questions on who would receive this premium pay moving forward as of today's date. And also one last thing before I pass it over. This resolution is still in effect until the remainder of the school year, and that's pursuant to the governor's orders. The premium pay does have a specific end date, so that would be June 30th. And the end date is June 30th, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Mesa Chavez or Ms. Cruz, it's June 30th because even as the instructional year ends, you're still going to have those summer programs where you're going to have some folks coming into contact with the community. So we wanted to make sure to take care of those folks that are still working beyond the instructional year.
And I do have a question. So who are the, and that this is for Ms. Cruz, who are the employees still getting premium pay with this?
Good evening, Shirley Cohn, Dr. Mesa Chavez, and board members. With this new resolution, which will become effective if approved on May 18th, only individuals that have direct contact with the public will be included or qualify for premium pay. This includes, for example, food service. We know that if any other group of employees, they're right there every day serving food to the public. So that would be one group as an example. But let's just say that another group of employees was brought up to the district, like registrars, to assist with registration. For that period of time when they're assisting the public, they would also be eligible for premium pay. This will not apply for someone, and I'll give you an example, anyone in my staff that comes into the office and the central office is closed. So there's no contact with the public, so premium pay wouldn't apply. So there will be different types of situations for maybe the same employee where the employee might come in one day and be eligible for premium pay, but maybe the next day they won't be eligible for premium pay, depending on the duties.
Okay, so it's specifically targeted towards employees that work with the public. It's not per se someone that, just a secretary that comes in or anything like that. Okay. That's all.
Unless, I have a question, I'm sorry, this is Myrna Hernandez. Unless, let's say, a secretary is gonna help pass out packets, they would just receive premium pay the day that they help to pass out packets, but not the other days that they're doing the regular duties.
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have a question. It's Fernie. You all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so the question is, the school year ends June 30th. So July 1st would be the first day of the new school year?
No, for
Yes?
purposes of the compensation, June 30th is the date because we have employees that start their new contract for the new school year, July 1st. But the last day of instruction, if I'm not mistaken, is June 7th.
Okay, because my question is, whatever date the new school year starts and we're still under this, are we gonna have to go back and look at that as far as continue premium pay and all that?
Correct. The recommendation, and Priscilla, correct me if I'm wrong, was to finish out this contract year with a resolution, and depending on what's to come for the new contract year, because compensation, we deal with it a little bit different than the school year, then we would come back to the board and present a resolution for the new contract year.
That's correct. And also remember, board members, that we're operating on the current budget. And so if we go into next school year, then we're already tapping into your next budget. So we're not going to jump the gun here. We're going to make sure to simply operate within this current budget, current school year, and then bring back to the board any other resolution that may be needed for next school year.
Ms. Mata, could you speak to the board a little bit in terms of the districts, other districts that may, I guess, are foregoing or not proceeding with premium pay, just so that they get that perspective as well?
Sure. So there's at least one other school district who will be ending premium pay this month, effective this month. And so they discussed, that certain school board discussed continuing premium pay for certain employees, such as food service. Ultimately, they've decided to simply end premium pay, keep paying folks the regular rate, of course, and taking care of their employees. But the premium pay, because it's costly and you're incurring labor costs and costs that weren't necessarily budgeted for. So school boards are considering, just ending that premium pay. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're putting an end date to that premium pay, but you're also narrowing it down to who's eligible for that pay. That's where the school districts are heading, because we don't know how next school year is going to be affected. So just something to consider also as you discuss the budget next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion, questions? Anyone have any questions? Okay, well, I would need a motion on the floor for this.
This is Irene.
Oh, go ahead, Irene.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution of the board regarding employee compensation plan during district's emergency closure over concerns of the community spread during the COVID-19 pandemic to be effective May 18th to June 30th.
Okay.
I second.
We have a motion on the floor by Mrs. Hawkins, seconded by Ms. Romero. If there is no further discussion, may I please have a vote? I'll take the vote. Mr. Madrid?
Aye.
Mr. Chavez?
Aye.
Mrs. Hawkins?
Aye.
Aye.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
Ms. Licon? Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. So now we have, proceeding along to item 6, reports, information, and presentation. Any questions on items 6A through D from the board book? Anything you'd like to discuss? Don't have any questions? No?
No.
Okay, so then there are no more questions. I will now proceed then to item 7, leadership evaluation, board self-evaluation, accountability to of our LSG. The presenters will be the Board of Trustees. Item 7A, discussion, review, and possible board action to approve board time use tracker for the following. April 8, 2020, and April 23, 2020. And those are on page 159 in our board book. Okay. So if we open our books to page 159 for the April 8th meeting, the meeting lasted 117 minutes, total 117 minutes. Of those minutes, we spent 27 minutes on our student outcome goals. And actually, it was the GPMs. We worked on GPM 2.2 and 2.3, the presentation from PNI. And accountability, we spent 10 minutes of our board use time tracker. On other topics, we spent 1 minute on the voting and accountability, on structure, I'm sorry, structure. On those minutes, we had 46 minutes exempt, 45 for executive session, and 1 for open forum. And we spent 33 minutes on other items. So if we go down to the next square, the blue one, we spent a total of 37 minutes on student outcome goals. From the 117 minutes and taking away the 46 minutes from the exempt, we had 71 minutes for the meeting and 34 for other topics. 37 divided by 71 times 100, we spent 52.11 minutes focused on student outcomes. Those were our minutes. So we are above our 50%. Good job. Good job, Board of Trustees, for staying focused. On our April 23rd meeting, since that was an actual meeting that focused on the COVID, that is considered exempt. So those minutes will not count. So we have those minutes exempt, which is good. Very good. Very good. And with that extended total, we're gonna, on page 168, we're gonna combine them, April 8th and April 23rd. Again, student outcome minutes, we spent 27, 10 on accountability, for a total of 37. It's focused on student outcomes. Other topics, we spent 1 on structure, 66 minutes were exempt, 33 minutes total on other topics. 37 divided by 71 times 100 gives us the 11 focused on student outcomes for both meetings combined. Okay, so good job, Board of Trustees. And with that stated, I do need any questions or comments?
No.
That's on your back, guys. Very well done. Okay, then I would need a motion on the floor for this item. Please, on item 7A. 7A.
I make a motion to approve 7A, board times use tracker for April 8th, 2020 and April 23rd, which is exempt.
Thank you.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Ms. Garcia, seconded by Ms. Romero, and I will now proceed with a vote. Mr. Madrid?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chavez?
Aye.
Mrs. Jaques?
Aye.
Mrs. Garcia?
Aye.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
Mrs. Licon? Aye. So motion carries unanimously. Okay. Moving on to item 7B. Discussion, review, and possible board action on the approval of the board's self-evaluation through April 30th, 2020, board quarterly progress tracker and setting next quarter targets for board's quarterly progress tracker. Presenter Ms. Licon, Sandra Licon, Board Chair, and Ms. Monica Haloma, LSG Coach. Hello, Ms. Haloma.
Good evening, Board Chair. How are you? Superintendent, Dr. Mesa Chavez, trustees, I've missed you. How are you all doing?
Great.
Well,
Good, how are you?
Doing well. Great job on your April time use tracker.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So to get us started, I believe that Dr. Mesa just wanted to anchor us back to the LSG leaderboard.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and let Ms. Licon speak first on this item, and this is on your page 160. So Ms. Licon, and then I'll follow you.
Okay, I'm just going to read what, 160, okay. So I'm going to go ahead and read what this LSG leaderboard is. The leaderboard lists the names of school systems who boards have self-evaluated using the LSG integrity instrument in the past 6 months and score at the meets, which is a minimum score of 60, or master's minimum score of 85 level. School boards are also given designations showing the amount of time they have invested in student outcomes. And with that, I would, if you've noticed on that page, San Elizario I.S.D. Independent School District is third on that list. And we're talking out of 9 school districts. We are at the meets level. We were at the meets level at 84, which is awesome, board members. Also, we were one out of the 2, well, we were one of 2 out of the 9 districts to actually go above the 50% minutes spent on our student outcome goals. So we are doing very well. And this is in the state of Texas, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Great job.
Very proud of all of us. As a team, we're doing great jobs. We're really working unitedly, staying focused and supporting one another to continue doing great things for our district. So extremely, extremely proud of this board, and I'm proud of all of us that we remain focused. Thank you, Ms. Haloma. Thank you, Dr. Jeannie Mesa Chavez, because we've all worked very well staying, again, focused, grounded, and keep moving forward. Even in these difficult times, we have remained focused, and that speaks volumes of your dedication and commitment to our students, to our community, and to the district. So thank you all very, very much. I'm very, very proud of you. And I'm not going to cry. So congratulations.
So that is a perfectly great segue to just really thank you, board members, for, I still remember when we started. And remember, you all as a board and the district with board members, you all have gone through different transitions. And I remember when Ms. Haloma did the very first analysis, and I think when she was helping us through the process, I remember Ms. Jaques saying like 3, that's all we scored was a 3. And I knew that that was a competitive side coming out. But I also want to compliment you because it has been, and I'm going to be honest with you all because you've been honest about this whole LSG process. You are right now one of 2 districts who has, and Ms. Haloma will speak to it more on her end, but you all have remained focused on what are we going to do to improve, which has really sent the message to our employees. What is it that we have to keep doing to move the needle? What are the things that we have to focus our attention and our resources to? And so for that, I want to thank you. To get to the leadership or the leaderboard, these are the only districts that actually scored high enough to be there. It doesn't mean that those are the only districts participating. There are other districts in Texas who are participating. And I want you to know that in some of the meetings where I have been on the commissioner's call, and then there's other organization meetings that I participate in, there are districts in the state that have not yet approved their goals in accordance to what the legislative session has asked, and yet our board has. And going through the process that we've been through, even though we've had our highs and lows with it, I just want to compliment you on that because that's not an issue. When I have to speak in those other organization meetings, I don't have to say my board doesn't have their goals set. We don't need an additional extension. And people have been surprised about that. So I just want to compliment you on that. Ms. Haloma?
You all have been doing a great job. In our region, so we have 6 districts implementing LSG. Out of the 6, 2 are the ones that have been really continuing with this process of staying focused. It's been very easy for other boards to say, you know what, we're gonna forget about that, and then we're just gonna focus on doing what we need to do because of COVID-19. But you haven't been doing that. You have been staying focused on what you want to accomplish for your students, and you're still getting things done when it comes to COVID-19. So great job. And I'm just excited about going through this quarterly self-evaluation because you just continue to move forward and doing what's best for your students.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to just open the floor to the other board trustees. If you would like to make a statement regarding, just anything having to do with how you scored on the leaderboard or just your thoughts on where you are right now at this point.
I want to say thank you to the veteran board members that are on here that when I first came on, I know it was a lot to take on because we were coming into something that was already started and not knowing, what direction to go. But I think Ms. Haloma and the trustees that were here prior and Dr. Chavez did a great job in facilitating our learning experience and making it, enjoyable. Thank you for that. And I think we've come far, and I've learned a lot from LSG, and it's helped me grow personally, and I'm thankful for it. I know it means a lot when the community tells you that they are happy that we are holding everyone accountable in attaining goals. And so that's pretty amazing. But just thank you all for helping me adjust as a newcomer.
Thank you. And I'm personally very proud. This is Mrs. Romero. I am very proud of all the cooperation of all the members and the teamwork of that 8 members. Thank you, Ms. Haloma, for guiding us. I'm very proud because our number 1 goal are our students. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, this is Irene Hackes. So I know at the beginning it was a little bit difficult, but what got me excited was how we all were going to be accountable, not just the campuses, the students, us as well. And when we got 3 new board members, it was a little scary, but I've been so proud at how they accepted everything with grace. That, we haven't had any major what's the word to say here? Negative.
Adversary.
Yeah, and so I was really happy, and it gave me hope how we were going to be continuing to move on, especially with LSG. And there were times when LSG was like, painful to work with, but coming to know that how far we've come, it's just made me proud of our work. And when Ms. Licon took over and the way she's handled everything, I'm super proud of her.
Thank you. Thank you, Irene. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
Okay, if no one else has any other comments, then I think we can, just double checking. I think that we can proceed with our LSG integrity instrument.
Item 2, 7B2. LSG Integrity instrument.
We have on the screen, Miss Haloma, we have the quarterly self-evaluation, that form that you provided, and I think that's the one that's on page, trying to figure that out right now, the one that's on page 180. So
So we're gonna need 3 documents. If you can let us know, Dr. Mesa, where does the LSG instrument, integrity instrument begin on your board packet? Which page is that?
that is actually on page 171. And just so you know, the board members did get it in the board packet, but they got also a separate packet to kind of help them move through it a little bit better.
Perfect. So we're gonna use your LSG instrument packet. And then if you can look on page 180, or you have it on the screen, page 180. So what I did is that I went back and I reviewed all your board meetings. I have the duration for each board meeting, the attendance in total from the trustees, the time that you spent on student outcome goals, and then I also added the time that you spent on or how many other topics you discussed. So what you have on the screen is a summary of your 6 meetings that you had from February through April. So page 180, if you cannot see the screen, then you're gonna have your instrument, and then we're gonna use the quarterly board minutes summary. No, I apologize, the quarterly evaluation. So that's the one where we've been having the columns of the previous quarters, the current quarter, the one where we are going to write down our score.
This one.
That's this one right here, the last page.
Here.
Yes.
May I have the page?
Yeah, page
181.
81.
181. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get started on your instrument, the separate manual that you received. And we're going to take a look at Vision 1. So on Vision 1, based on the last quarter, 1 quarter ago, we gave ourselves a meets focus. We were at the 12th. So let's see where we're at in the last 3 months. Do you feel you were working towards the master's focus? So let's go ahead and have a discussion on where we feel we're at this quarter.
In this quarter, I do believe that we have committed to the vision and student outcome goals to memory. Since we have been really working on this every single month, practically every other day, day in, day out, pursuing them. So for me, I do believe that we have met that one. I know we do know the current status of each student outcome goal as they are presented to us, and agree that there is broad communication ownership of the board's vision and student outcome goals through involvement and communication with students, staff, and community members. Because we have been going out to we had once gone out to the community recently, and prior to that, we have been, we did have meetings, we had gone to campuses individually. So for me, honestly, I do believe that we are at the master's focus. Other board members, how do you?
agree.
I agree. I
I
think
agree.
Any other board members?
Mirna.
Sorry, I agree.
Mr. Chavez, Mr. Madrid?
I agree.
Yes. So do you feel that we have moved to the master's focus on that item? On Vision 1?
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. So may we put quarterly tracker of 15? That was our goal. Do you think we are there?
So for this process, and just so it can be clear on how we're voting on this, Miss Licon, will you mind going through the list as if you were
Yes.
getting it approved, just so we can keep track of, are we there or are we not? Please.
Absolutely, yes, ma'am.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll begin. You're welcome, ma'am. We will begin with Mr. Madrid. How do you? Mr. Madrid, do you?
What exactly?
Pardon me?
What's the question?
Oh, that if you believe that on Vision 1, we are at the master's focus, that we have met, what it requires there to be at the master's focus. Do you believe that we are in Vision 1 at the master's focus for 15 points?
Comments you and we're done. I do feel that we are at master's focus.
Okay, so Mr. Madrid, Mr. Chavez,
Yes, ma'am, I agree. We're at master focus for Vision 1.
okay, Mrs. Jaques,
I'm in agreement for a master's focus.
Mrs. Garcia,
Yes, master's focus.
Mrs. Hernandez,
I am also in agreement.
okay, Ms. Romero,
I agree, we have met.
okay, and Ms. Licon for myself, I agree. So I do believe that we have the unanimous there for 15, current to have 15 there. Awesome.
Perfect. So now let's go ahead and go to Vision 2. Vision 2 has to do with your goal progress measures. Ms. Licon, would you like to take it away?
Okay, on Vision 2, last quarter, we were at the meets focus with the 12. And again, our goals are predictive. I do believe that we have surpassed the meets focus and are at the master's focus again, because all board members and the superintendent agree there is broad community ownership of the GPMs through involvement and communication with students, staff, and community members. Being that we had a couple of board members also hand out flyers during April 29th in the morning during our lunchtime. We abided by our social distancing. We were full protective gear, so we were safe, and we did hand out flyers in the morning. And in the afternoon, we had two other set of board members that also participated in the El Pasoans Fighting Hunger, and during that process also handed out flyers and did ask the community members. We were trying to have, again, a conversation with them at a safe distance. And these were community members. They had students in the vehicles, and we have spoken to teachers previously. So I do believe that, again, we are at the master's focus in this one. If anyone would like to comment on how they feel with that one before we would take a vote of where everybody believes we're at. Any
I
comments?
agree.
Yes.
We're at masters.
Okay, comments or conversation? Okay, so then may I go ahead and take a vote of where, if, or actually just get a poll of where everybody feels? Mr. Madrid?
I do comment. I do believe we're in master's focus. The key word is ownership. I know that me working, I can't really attend some of these community meetings and the functions that you all have. But as far as ownership, I know that I am part of the ownership of this. So I do say we're master's focus.
Excellent. Excellent. Yes, and again, remember, it's a teamwork, so it's a team effort. We all do it for each other. So, and again, with the vision of our community, so we're in it together. Mr. Chavez?
I'm also in agreement that we're at master focus for
Okay,
the Vision 2.
thank you. Mrs. Jaques?
Agreeing that we're at master's focus.
Okay, Mrs. Garcia?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, Ms. Hernandez?
I'm in agreement that we're at master's focus.
Ms. Romero?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, and Ms. Lico, myself, definitely I agree. So again, we are doing well. Vision 2, we're at master's focus. Good job, guys. That was really where we were headed for. Okay, moving to Vision 3. the board has adopted constraints. We were, oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Halom, I jumped in.
No, you're doing
I
great.
got excited.
Go for it.
I got real excited. Well, last month we were at the Meets Focus. We had the board has adopted 1 to 5 board self-constraints. Definitely all board members and superintendent agreed that the constraints will challenge the organization to focus on the vision and uphold community values. I do believe that we have done all that. At the master's focus, the board, in collaboration with the superintendent, has adopted 1 or more theories of action to drive overall strategic direction. I do believe we have done that. All board members and the superintendent agree there is broad community ownership of the constraints through the involvement and communication with students, staff, and community members. I also agree with that one, with the previous event. Okay, the April 30th event. Anyone else would like to chime in on that one? No? No one wants to chime in? Okay. May I ask Mr. Madrid? On item
Say, master's focus.
Master's Focus, you believe we are Master's Focus? How about Mr. Chavez?
Yes, I agree. We're at master focus.
Okay, Mrs. Jaques?
Definitely at master's focus.
Okay, Ms. Garcia?
We are at Master's Focus.
Mrs. Hernandez?
I agree that we're at master's focus as well.
Ms. Romero?
I ditto that, master's focus.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Licon, I do believe we're at Master's Focus. Excellent. So, Master Focus it is. Vision 4. The board has adopted superintendent constraints, program measures, and CPMs. We were at the last quarter, 1 quarter ago, we were at Master's Focus. This quarter, let me see, all board members and the superintendent, there's broad community ownership of the CPMs through involvement and communication with students, staff, and community members. How do you all feel with this one?
In agreement, we've met it.
We'll go down the line. Mr. Madrid?
In agreement with master's focus.
Okay. Mr. Chavez?
I also agree for vision 4, master focus.
Okay. Mrs. Jaques?
Did you say we were already at master's focus last quarter?
No, we were at meets. We were at meets 1 quarter ago. Our goal was to be at Master's Focus for this.
I agree. We're at master's focus. Agree.
Okay. Ms. Garcia?
Yes, we are at Master's Focus.
Okay. Mrs. Hernandez?
Same here, master's focus.
Ms. Romero?
I agree, we have met it.
And Ms. Licon? Yes, I agree. So we mark Master's Focus there. And accountability 1. A quarter ago, we were at approaches. So accountability 1. No, I'm sorry.
At
We're at Master's Focus a quarter ago. And let me see, have we maintained it? 50% or more of the total quarterly minutes in board authorized public meetings were invested in improving student outcomes. According to the time track, I do believe we have met that one as well. So, Mr. Madrid?
I'm in agreement, the record shows it.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chavez?
Yes, ma'am, I agree with you. Master focus.
Mrs. Jaques?
Master's focus.
Mrs. Garcia?
Master's Focus.
Mrs. Hernandez?
Master's focus as well.
Ms. Romero?
Master's focus.
And Ms. Licon, Master's Focus. I do believe we made that one, so great job. Okay, continuing on to accountability 2. Last quarter, 1 quarter ago, we were at Meets Focus. Our goal was to stay at Meets Focus, so let's see where we are. Meets Focus, we are definitely there. voted unanimously to approve the most current quarterly progress tracker we have, has not modified the adopted student outcome goals, CPMs, target during the school year or cycle applicable to the animal. Consider superintendent performance as indistinguishable from school system performance by evaluating the superintendent. See, we haven't evaluated the superintendent results and progress toward the student outcome goals. So I don't believe.
Were we still going to do it exclusively on the results of goal process monitoring, or had we changed that? I thought we had changed that.
That's correct. And you all weren't going to be, there was at length discussion, and I know that the evaluation was moved to, I believe it was September. I don't think that as a board, you all were quite ready to just go directly to the evaluation using only the LSG. Ms. Haloma, is that what you indicate? And Ms. Licon?
Yes, so because as of now, we're still evaluating your superintendent partially. The rating for accountability 2 will stay at needs focus. Once if you decide as a board to evaluate your superintendent solely on the student outcome goals, the goal progress measures, constraints, and constraints progress measures, then we can attain that master's focus under this piece.
Yes, so I do believe that, yes, we stay at needs focus.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
okay. Should I go ahead and ask every board member how they feel, or?
We're gonna stay the same, so we're
there.
good.
Yes, so
Yes.
we're staying there. Okay, so then we'll continue on to structure. On structure, the board takes a way to allow the superintendent to accomplish the vision. And one quarter goal, we were at 15. And our goal was to stay at 15, the master's focus. Looking at the master's focus, let me see, an average of 3 meetings per month. We did do that, an average time of 2 hours per meeting. That one, we did not fulfill it. There was a meeting on in February 12th, as a matter of fact. Our meeting went 2 hours and 12 minutes, so we were over by 12 minutes. 12 minutes, so we didn't fulfill that one. And then an average of 3 other topics per meeting. Again, February 12th, we had other topics for discussion, we had 4. So we did not meet the master's focus. We do have board members receive the final version. We did abide by that one we did follow it. No edits were made. Board's regular scheduled meeting agenda the follow 3 days prior to the meeting. Again, we did meet it. We just lacked in that we were over 12 minutes on February 12th, and we all had 4 topics for discussion. So in this one, we'd have to stay at the needs focus. So we'll put a 12 on that one.
Is anybody not in agreement with that? Are we okay with that one?
Does it change? I have a question. So we didn't meet it because we had more meetings, right? But because of the circumstances, I mean, isn't there leeway, or I mean, what can we do about that?
We didn't meet it because of the meeting on February the 12th, which was a regular board meeting that lasted 2 hours and 12 minutes. So we were over the 12 hours. All the COVID meetings that you had, all the meetings that you had because of COVID-19, those were exempted. So you're actually meeting, you have less than 3 meetings per month. You had for the last quarter 2 meetings, one that was the regular one, and then you had a board workshop in February, and then March and April was your COVID-19 emergency meetings. So the only reason why we're not able to attain it is because of the 2 hours and 12, because of those 12 minutes, that we extended, and then the 4 topics for discussion. For this board meeting, if you notice, you're gonna have 3, so your board president is working on keeping us on track to get to the master's focus. But those were the reasons why we were not. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So we can move along to add, so then just for clarification, structure will be at a 12. Is everybody okay?
Yes.
All right. So then let's go to advocacy.
Quarter ago, we were at approaches focus. A quarter ago, we were at approaches focus. Our goal was to stay at approaches focus. And if we look at the meets, displays and keeps updated status of targets and the GPMs permanently and publicly in the room of which a board meeting is frequently held, we do have those up, but has led or co-led at least one training on Lone Star Governance for its community during the previous 6 months period. We have not done this one, but we are looking into having a meeting on May 20th with AJ Cabral and Ms. Monica Haloma, also to target this Lone Star governments. So we this governance training, so we can go ahead and attain that mark and have get to the meets focus, or hopefully surpass the meets focus. But for now, I don't believe that we are there, not until after May 20th or May 20th. We do have that meeting.
If you all will recall, I know that when we had our newest board members, and when you all were running for election, we had one previous board member, Mr. Rojas, who actually co-led the presentation with Ms. Haloma. And that's kind of what needs to be happening. And I know we've scheduled the date for May 20th. So I don't know, Ms. Haloma, if you have something to add to that. In other words, which board members would be taking the lead to be able to assist with that training so that they can get credit on this one?
So it will be up to you who would like to participate. I actually met with Mr. Crable a couple of hours before your board meeting to talk about how this is going to be sequenced. So pretty much the person that presents or the board members that present, you will have a piece on the goals. So you'll be sharing the goals with your community. You will be explaining the why. But we are in the process where we've been developing the presentation for that. And at a later time, I would like to schedule a time when I can practice and meet with whoever is going to present, so you all can be ready for your presentation for the community.
So this is where we ask board members who would like to participate. It would be, we're looking at May 20th, and I believe it was 8 or 9, Ms. Haloma, a.m.
From 9 a.m. to 10:30.
9 to 10:30.
And just so you know, Ms. Christine is going to be posting this training in the event that you all log in. And so it will be posted.
Okay, so we can have, okay, I will commit to that date. If anybody else would like to commit.
I'm okay with the date.
Okay, Ms. Garcia. On.
And Ms. Haloma, I would like to participate.
Great.
I'm okay with the date as well.
Okay. Ms. Hernandez. Okay. Anyone else?
And you all can be present, and not all of you have to present. So yeah, whoever wants to co-present, let me know, and then we can schedule a time to practice.
Okay, there you go.
I'll be present. I'll be present only.
Go ahead and add me to the list, Ms. Licon.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Romero. Ms. Jaques, was that you will present?
I'll be present.
I'll be present myself.
Okay. So
if you really need me, well then.
Okay,
and
so
remember, it's going to be virtual. So you all also probably among the first to be doing a virtual training like this. And
right. Well, if you need me, then I'll still be there.
Thank you. Okay, so then on advocacy, we will stay then at 3 with the approaches focus.
Yes, so we're staying at 3. I would like to talk about your next quarter goal. So since this is taking place next week, you're displaying your goals in your board meeting, and if you notice at the master's focus, you've already done those two items right there. So where it says goal target for the next quarter, if we can go ahead and add a 10, because you're gonna be accomplishing all of those by the end of next week.
We count them for this week?
No.
I mean, for
No,
right now?
No,
Next
not for right now. Right now,
For the
this quarter
next
is
quarter?
3. Yes, ma'am. The next quarter will be 10. And if I may go back just really quick to structure. So we talked about how under structure we are at need focus. Can we agree that the target for the next quarter will be at master's focus?
I believe we can.
So I just see Ms. Licon and Ms. Jaques shaking your heads. Ms. Hernandez?
Yes, I
Ms.
agree.
Garcia?
Yes.
Mr. Madrid?
Yes, I agree.
Mr. Chavez?
Yes, ma'am, I agree.
And Ms. Romero?
Yes,
Perfect. Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you. All right, so let's move down to Unity.
In Unity, a quarter goal, we were at 10 masters focus. On this one, I believe we took a couple of steps back. Again, being that if we go to meets focus, the board maintain an average attendance of 80% or higher throughout all regular scheduled board meetings over the previous 3 months. And then looking at the summary, we had 86% in February. In February, we had 86 in March for the regular board meeting, and 86 trustees present on the regular. So that one we.
I think you mean 71%. No,
71%. I'm sorry. On March, you're right.
March and then 86 in April.
April, yeah, 71. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes. So with that, I do believe the average was a 78.5, which put us right underneath the 80%. We have definitely met everything else, agrees that all board members have adhered to all the public governing policies. I do believe that we had met everything else. It was just that we were under the 80% on our attendance. But we do have a plan. We do have a plan, hopefully, which is another item on the agenda, to move our meetings to a Monday, so we can definitely bring up that attendance, because we do have a board member that it's easier for him to schedule on his day off, because he does have to go to work. As a matter of fact, even right now, he's pressed for time. So I do believe that we can meet it and definitely be at a master's focus next quarter. But for this one, I do believe we took a step back to 3. What do y'all?
So we're at a focus.
Yes,
Okay.
honey. But what are we okay with that?
Yes.
Yes, so we can put for the next quarter, we will be at 10?
Yes. Yes.
All right. There you go. We know we will. We will know we will. So
Ms.
then we'll have it. Yes, ma'am.
For the record, just would you be able to read what you have, what the current is and what the next quarter is going to be, just so that Christine is able to get that on record, please?
Okay. For current and Vision 1, 15. Vision 2.
So then, I'm so sorry to interrupt, Ms. Licon. If we can say what you have and then just kind of like the goal.
Go over
So
to
that
the
was like a,
next quarter? Okay.
yes, ma'am.
So current 15. Next quarter is to stay at 15.
Mhm.
And Vision 2, 15. Next quarter, stay at 15. Vision 3, 10. Stay at 10. And then Vision 4, 5. Remain at 5. Accountability 1, we're at 15 currently. And again, remain at 15. Accountability 2, We are at a 4. Did we say we're going to go up to a 5 on that one? On accountability too? Or
So that one, we won't be able to go to a
Okay.
master's focus until you decide that you want to evaluate your superintendent solely on
Yes.
student outcome goals. So
So
that
we still-
remains a
Still
four.
on 4.
4. Okay, so we'll remain at a 4 on that one.
Yes, ma'am.
Accountability 2, we're at a 12, but we'll go up to a 15. Next quarter will be 15. Structure, yeah, right, I did structure. Advocacy, we're at a 3. Next quarter, our target will be 10. Unity, we're at 3 currently, and next quarter at 10. So with those numbers, and I need help here with the math.
Excuse me, what was structure again?
Structure, we're at it currently at a 12.
Okay,
And next quarter, we will be at a 15.
okay, yes, I see it here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just working here the numbers. If anybody already has them, maybe they can shout them out before I do.
So if I'm doing my math correctly, this quarter you got a total of 82 points, but your target for the next quarter will be 99 points.
Can you believe that? Yay! Exciting. That
And
is exciting.
you already have a system in, well, you already have a plan to support you with the attendance, the board attendance. Your board chair has been very vigilant, and Dr. Mesa also, to keep the items to 3, the topics, different topics. So you're working on that, and then you're gonna be working on your LSG for the community next week. So you're on track to attain that 99.
And Ms. Palma, I have a really quick question. On
Yes, ma'am.
accountability 2, if, I mean, the evaluation on the superintendent based on solely goal process monitoring, if we never, I mean, if we don't ever want to do it that way, is there anything, will that always be in place, or is there any way to change that?
So the reason why that is in place is just to, we talk about, the reason why the school exists, and we talk about what the focus of your superintendent should be. If you do not want to go that route, then that's okay. There's nothing, you can continue to evaluate her the way, or, evaluate your superintendent the way that you are evaluating that person. That would be fine. If you notice for your next quarter, like, that's the only thing that you will be missing. So that's 1 point. As a board, I will encourage you to have that conversation, continue that conversation. But if that's how you're deciding to evaluate your superintendent partially on those goals and constraints, then we can continue moving that way, in that direction.
So it'll never, well, we could never probably reach the 100 if we don't do that. There's nothing that'll change in LSG structure that could get us there.
No, ma'am. And the reason for that is, so we talk about how, student outcomes don't change until adult behaviors change. And you've developed your goals, you've developed those constraints, and you've given that to the superintendent. So the reason for evaluating the superintendent that way is that at the end of the school year, we don't want any surprises, for your superintendent. So your superintendent starts the year knowing, this is how I'm going to be evaluating, this is what's important for the community, this is what's important for the board. So this is the plan that I'm going to carry to make sure that those goals and constraints that the board has adopted are met. So unfortunately, nothing is going to change on LSG that will get us to that master focus, just partially evaluating our superintendent that way.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the only thing I guess I want to say to that, I think if other districts do come on board and see that, I think that maybe what can be done is modifications to the LSG instrument on how they do it. But I think that was just going to be a process. And so that is going to probably have to be just one of those things that we kind of just look at and just really know that from my perspective, I'm along with a lot of other individuals in our district working to try to improve. You know, you've indicated to me, all of y'all have indicated what our goals are and what we need to do to keep moving forward. And so I'm going to keep talking Ms. Haloma's ear off until LSG does it some kind of a change. She knows I will. So, but until they collect more data and they get more perspective from other superintendents, I think that's just, you know, that's just where we are with that. So.
Yes, and that was that's why I had that question. I mean, if we could just change that, Ms. Haloma. that would be-
I know you want to get to 100, but 99 is good.
Side. Okay. So that would be item 7B4, right? The board's quarterly progress tracker. Right, so we pretty much wrapped it up here. Anything anybody would like to share? Say, discuss? Comment? No?
Great job, everyone.
No.
We're awesome. We are awesome.
Our virtual high fives, guys. Remember, we do our virtual high fives. There you go. Okay, so then if we have no further discussion, may I please have a motion on the floor for item 7B?
I move to accept item 7B as presented. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, and who do we have a second?
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Ms. Hernandez, seconded by Ms. Romero. Mr. Madrid?
Aye.
Mr. Chavez?
I'm gonna abstain from this one, Ms. Licon.
Okay, abstain. Okay, Mrs. Jaques? Mrs. Jaques?
Aye. Messing with
Garcia, you're muted.
Aye.
Okay, Ms. Hernandez?
Aye.
Ms. Romero?
Aye.
Okay, and Ms. Licon, aye. So we have 6 ayes and one abstention. So motion carries. Okay. Then proceeding, did Ms. Christine get that? Yes.
Yes, Board Chair Lico and I got all of that.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Christine. Thank you. Okay, so item 7C, consider possible board action to revise policy BE local for having board meetings held on every second Wednesday of the month to being held on every second Monday of the month. And on this one it's on page 182 in our board book. And again, all we would be doing is switching our dates from a Wednesday to a Monday, if that would be okay with the rest of the board members. If we can open the floor for a discussion, if anybody would like to chime in on that, and if it works for you all, does it work for you all? Why is everybody
Also,
Love a comment.
I'm cool with that.
Somebody had a comment. I can't tell who it was.
I think it was
Me,
Mr. Chavez.
Bernie.
Oh,
that
Fernie.
was Bernie.
Bernie, okay, yes, Mr. Madrid?
Okay, I just want to thank the board for taking this item into consideration. I was the one that asked to be put this on the agenda. The reason that I did it, of course, it work related. I don't want to have to be missing meetings. So right now with my schedule, Monday would be perfect for me. And I see that we're putting for 5:30, so it's even better because that's gonna allow Mr. Chavez. That's what he wanted as well. So it actually worked for both of us. The only thing that I will say that it's not set in stone, my schedule. I am working overnight right now, and they're probably looking at changing us once all this pandemic is over. It's probably within 2 days. That's gonna put another burn on attending the meetings. So I don't want to be moving the schedule around just to compensate me. Okay, we are a team of 8. Hopefully in the future, I won't have issues attending these meetings. because I do want to be part of this team of 8. The only thing that I do thank all of you for considering this.
Thank you. So anyone else? So we would have it then for Mondays at 5:30.
Is it 5 or 5:30?
Yes, would that work for everyone?
Yes.
Mr.
May I
Chavez,
have-
question. You said 5 or 5:30?
I heard
The thing on our packet is say 5:30, the
5:30.
policy.
in the policy. It's highlighted for 5:30. And then it was scratched out and it has a 0. So what
Yeah,
would work
that's what-
best? 5 or 5:30?
5:30.
5:30? Okay.
I'm okay.
5:30,
I'm
fine.
okay.
5:30? Okay. So then if anyone else wants to further discuss this? Does anyone?
I just wanted to make a comment, Ms. Licon, to todo algo. You know what, unfortunately is on Mondays, I can't promise to be there available every Monday, okay? I accepted it because I want to work with you guys to be there, but it's just, I'm in the same boat, you know? My job, I'm on call and, you know, I accommodated my schedule to be here on Wednesdays. And I'm gonna try to accommodate myself to be here on Mondays as well. So I can help out Fernie. But I just, you know, I don't want you guys to be upset if, for whatever reason, I miss a couple of meetings. But that's it. Like I said, but I will try my best to be to as many meetings as possible.
Is that the only day that, Fernie, you're able to on a Monday? Reason being that we would be back in the same boat, missing one board member.
Yeah.
Well,
I
the only
agree.
thing to that is if that's the problem, I'd rather just keep it as is. I don't wanna create an issue.
No, and that's fine for me. I just can't promise to be there. I know for a fact that for one of the special meetings that you guys call for the month of June, I'm gonna miss. So
Well,
it's just, I can't. But after that, I should be okay.
but the thing with is if we move them to Mondays, then we're just in the same boat again, like Ms. Hernandez said. We're moving them to Mondays, but we're also gonna miss another. It's the same thing.
But he just said that it's only the June one, that after that he'll be okay.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, it'll be
One meeting.
on one of the June's meetings. I know you're gonna have 2, right? We're gonna have the special board meeting and
The
then
regular and the special. Mhm.
yeah. So I would only be able to make one, and then
Okay.
after that, I should be able to attend the Mondays.
Okay.
Then we would be okay. We would be okay. Okay, so then anybody else would like to comment? No? Then may I please have a motion on the floor, please, on item 7C?
I'd like to make a motion to accept item 7C of moving our second Wednesday of the month meeting to Monday, second Monday of the month at 5:30, right?
5:30, yes, ma'am. Okay.
I second.
A second by Ms. Romero. Okay, so if I may take this for a vote, Mr. Madrid,
Aye.
Mr. Chavez,
Aye.
Mrs. Jaques,
Aye.
Ms. Garcia,
Aye.
Mrs. Hernandez,
Aye.
Ms. Romero,
Aye.
Ms. Licon, aye. So motion carries unanimously. Okay? So, that's okay. We'll now move on to item 8, executive session. The board will enter into a closed meeting to discuss personnel matters, to consult with attorney, to discuss real estate matters, to consider recommendations for hiring of personnel or termination of personnel and other personnel matters under section 551.071, 551.072, and 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. 8A, discussion on employee board superintendent communication, presenter Dr. Jeannie Zapata, superintendent. Item 8B, discussion on termination of the following: 1, non-contractual personnel, 2, contractual personnel. 8C, Discussion on the employment of the following. C1, contractual personnel. A, discussion on renewal of teacher and administrator contracts for 2020-2021 school year for the following. 1, probationary contracts. 2, term contracts. 3, certified administrators. 4, non-certified administrators. And 8C2, 8, non-contractual personnel, employees recommended for letter of reasonable assurance for 2021 school year at 7:15 p.m. Executive session.
Ms. Licon, and just a reminder that the instructions for that were attached. They're in the packet as well, towards the
Yes,
bottom.
Yes. Okay, so we'll be calling in.
All right.
Thank you.
Sir Horacio, can you make sure we're muted all the way?
Okay. The board will return to open session to take possible action on the matters discussed in executive session at 7:47.
Madam Chair, please note that Mr. Bernie Madrid had to go to work at 7:51.
He excused himself at 7:39.
Oh,
Yes, 7:39. It's 7:47 right now.
I don't know why it's at 7:51.
Okay, yes, thank you.
No, correction, at 7:39.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, Ms. Hawkins. Thank you. Okay, so we will now proceed for items 9A. Discussion
Even
and
51.
action on removal of teacher and administrator contracts for the 2020-2021 school year following: 1, probationary contracts; 2, term contracts; 3, certified administrators; 4, non-certified administrators. Then the floor is open for discussion. If anyone wants to discuss, comment. Nope. Okay, so may I entertain a motion, please?
Move that we approve. I closed my window and I can't see it anymore. That we approve all items as presented, 1 through 4. I don't know what number it was.
9.
1 through 4. Okay. So motion by Ms. Hawkins. Who was the second?
Second.
Romero is second the item. All those in favor? Let me see. From here we have Mr. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Hawkins,
Aye.
Garcia,
Hi.
Ms. Hernandez,
Aye.
Ms. Romero,
Aye.
and Ms. Licon. Okay, motion carries. Okay, item 10, next meeting date will be a regular Monday meeting scheduled for June 8th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. And we move to item 10, adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay, motion by Ms.
I
Hawkins.
second.
Okay, motion.
7:49. Sorry, Marina.
Is it 7?
We're a mess.
7:49. Okay, motion by Ms. Hawkins. Motion by Ms. Hawkins to adjourn at 7:49 p.m. Seconded by Ms. Romero. Mr. Chavez.
Aye.
Ms. Hawkins.
Aye.
Ms. Garcia.
Hi.
Ms. Hernandez.
Aye.
Ms. Romero.
Aye.
And Ms. Licon. Aye. Motion adjourned at 7:50.
Horacio, thank you. Board members, great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day, guys.
Thank you again for everything.
Have a good evening and be safe.
Thank you as well. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.